Humans have always had fantastical ideas about what might happen to us after we shuffle off this mortal coil. In our modern era, technology seems to be on its way to giving us the option to bring these wild ideas into reality. From preservation to maybe never truly dying at all. This is, on the one hand, exciting to a lot of people. Death is one of the things we as humans least understand and are least able to control.
This is what happens when you die. That is what happens when he dies. And that is what happens when they die. It's all very personal.
But on the other hand, it also opens up a whole lot of questions around technological capabilities and ethics. We might one day soon have the option to live forever, but is that a good thing? And what would it really look like in practice? Let's take a look at some of the examples from on-screen and in real life to get a deeper understanding of the issue.
Uploaded to the cloud. Sounds like heaven.
I guess.
Death is one of the biggest mysteries of life. We don't know what happens before we get here, or what happens after. And the question of what might happen, where we might go, who we might meet, and who we might become has been of major interest to everyone to some degree or another across human history.
And maybe the whole world will remember you, or maybe just a couple of people, but you do what you can to make sure you're still around after you're gone.
The not knowing can of course develop into a fear of that unknown, and to seeing death as an inevitable lurking horror. But, curious and creative creatures that we are, humans have also come up with lots of other ideas about how things might play out.
Oh, it looks like paradise, but it's actually a filthy dumpster full of our worst anxieties.
Many of the most enduring visions of the afterlife come from various religions, often seeing the afterlife as either a sort of next step or a reward or punishment for the choices made while earthbound.
We're very unhappy. What did you expect? You're dead.
When this version of the afterlife appears on screen, it's usually when a character is in an in-between state. They've almost died and are given one more chance at life and to make better choices. Or other times, they're just making their case as to why, even if they weren't perfect, they still deserve to get into the better place. And sometimes they even end up battling or bargaining with a god or gods themselves.
I'm the one. Creator of the heavens and the earth, Alpha and Omega.
Oh, I see where this is going.
On screen, the afterlife and space between life and death is used as a way to unpack our fears and anxieties around our waking lives.
I need you to tell Molly what I'm saying, but you have to tell her word for word, all right? Molly, you're in danger.
Now you can't just blurt it out like that.
Ghosts are generally a great metaphor for some of our biggest internal struggles. They're stuck in this uncomfortable, confusing space until they can figure out what it is specifically that's holding them back, so that they can finally deal with their unfinished business and move on.
It's amazing, Molly. The love inside. You take it with you.
The Sixth Sense, for example, brings this problem to life. Well, kind of, with the many ghosts that Cole sees.
You see ghosts, Cole?
They want me to do things for them.
Their ability to move on is based on their ability to accept the truth of their situation, which isn't always easy.
They don't see each other. They only see what they want to see. They don't know they're dead.
Malcolm only comes to find that he himself has been on this journey for the entire film at the very end.
I think I can go now. I needed to help someone. I did.
Another major theme we see around ghost stories is actually about the still living person learning to let go. Of course, so many of our ideas around death and what will happen to us afterwards were developed when we didn't have any control over either of those two variables. But now, that might be starting to change. For much of history, we've tried to use the technology we develop not necessarily to control what happens after death, but instead to try to not die in the first place. Billionaire Brian Johnson regularly makes headlines for his weird and sometimes creepy attempts to reduce his age and live forever, for example. He seems particularly obsessed with getting back to the body and mind space occupied by his young son.
Have you ever dreamt of a better version of yourself? Younger, more beautiful, more perfect.
Cryonics is one of the older modern forms of attempting to cheat death, freezing oneself or one's brain in the hopes that one day technology will advance enough that someone will be able to bring you back to life. It's often thought of as a bit of a relic of decades past. Most people associate it with the urban legend that Walt Disney had himself frozen, which isn't true, by the way. He was actually cremated. But it is still happening, or at least people are still trying to make it happen. Failing an avenue to rewind time in their own bodies, others will take to transferring their consciousness, the part of us that makes us, into a younger body. On screen, this desire to cheat death by turning back the clock sometimes plays out like Brian's real life, with some obscenely rich person who is unable to deal with the fact that they can't control everything, focusing their entire life around this one goal. It never works, but that doesn't stop them from trying. The substance explores how this desire, this need to escape the ravages of age, and the endless march towards the end can literally tear you apart. Elizabeth, an aging actress and TV presenter who has found herself getting the axe so that the studio can replace her with someone younger, turns to a drastic measure.
One single injection unlocks your DNA, starting a new cellular division that will release another version of yourself.
It does create a version of her that is younger, but at a cost that's too high to sustain.
So I'm just looking for the procedure to reverse it.
What has been used on one side is lost on the other side. There's no going back.
While we may not have secret warehouse juice that makes a hot girl rip her way out of our bodies, our real-world attempts to cheat death are also fraught with their own issues. In her piece on modern cryonics for the BBC, Charlotte Litton writes, "While cryonics proponents hope that a cure for the ailment that killed the patient would have been found by the time they return to life, there is no guarantee, nor that something else wouldn't immediately curtail the time on Earth the second time around. There's also the matter of the inordinate cost, with many families likely none too pleased about having their inheritance spent on the ultimate long shot. Now, as technology advances further and faster, some are looking to forego their human bodies altogether, and instead totally leave the concerns of our mortal world behind by uploading their consciousness into the digital world."
But I'm not real, though. That right? You are real and I'm not?
Dr. Hamby told us you were in a simulation.
At first, a digital afterlife sounds great. You get to plan it out ahead of time and make the choice to go yourself. And you get to live knowing exactly what's going to happen to you after you're not so living anymore.
I guess I'm ready. For what? For the rest of it.
San Junipero became a beloved episode of Black Mirror because its twist was one that the show had never done before: a happy ending. San Junipero is a simulated reality that both the living and the dead can inhabit. People can choose to be uploaded there permanently after they die if they wish. In the end, this provides a way for Kelly and Yorkie to be together in a way they wouldn't have had the option to in the real world, as Yorkie didn't have much time left in the land of the living. In San Junipero, they're able to continue their love story for eternity. But in practice, things aren't likely to be so rosy. Of course, as with everything digital, all of that data has to be stored somewhere and controlled by someone. The only people who have the money and resources to even think about building out a digital otherworld are the same tech oligarchs who are currently destroying our actual world. So this means that your eternity would be in the hands of some very concerning people, who would have the ability to change or even shut off your afterlife at their own whims. There's a running theme within mind-uploading media that hits on this very problem, from the X-Files to Pantheon and beyond. Once you're uploaded, they're in control of everything you're able to do.
We're living a lie here. It's a work camp. We're digital
slaves. We dream, but we're not allowed to have dreams.
There's also the payment barrier. Servers cost money to run, so you'll be paying a lot to make sure that you get to keep running forever. TV show Upload shows how messed up this would be in practice with the so-called 2 gigs. People who only have 2 gigabytes of data per month because that's all they can afford. They just have to make the most of the little time they have before they're frozen until the cap resets the next month. While our live-to-work society certainly can make it feel like we're owned by corporations, uploading the literal essence of our conscious selves into their servers and essentially being forced to subscribe to our own existence in perpetuity would certainly take that to another level. While we don't yet have the technology to actually upload our consciousness to the cloud, AI is allowing the living to create a simulacrum of a world where it is possible for the living to keep versions of us around. There's a growing trend of creating so-called AI copies of loved ones who have passed on, to allow the living to continue to interact with something that kind of feels like them. While this may help alleviate the initial grieving process, there are concerns that it may hinder long-term healing and acceptance of reality. As research is already finding that AI-altered fake versions of things can replace our real memories of those same things, it's possible that these fake versions of loved ones could actually come to totally rewrite and replace one's memories of the deceased. A 2025 study found that exposure to AI-altered images substantially increases the likelihood of false memory formation, with participants exposed to such content exhibiting a markedly higher propensity to report inaccurate recollections compared to those who viewed unedited control images. This effect was even more pronounced when participants were presented with AI-generated videos based on AI-edited images, suggesting that dynamic AI media significantly amplifies memory distortion. Perhaps most concerning, participants reported high levels of confidence in their false memories, particularly in the AI-generated video conditions. Instead of creating a digital afterlife for the dead, it seems that technology is instead creating a new trap for the living. Professor Mary Frances Connor explained to CNN, "When we bond with a loved one, when we fall in love with someone, the brain encodes that person as, 'I will always be there for you and you will always be there for me.' When they die, our brain has to understand that this person isn't coming back." Though the allure of seeing a version of a past loved one again is hard to turn away from, not everyone is buying in. Asked if he would ever use AI to try to bring back his fiancée, a software engineer told CNN, "She cannot be replaced. She cannot be recreated. I'm also lucky to have some recordings of her singing and of her speech. But I absolutely do not want to hear her voice coming out of a robot pretending to be her." Upload ends with Nora having to make a similar choice. After accepting Nathan's death and beginning to move on, she gets a notification that a version of him was salvaged, meaning she has the opportunity to bring that version of his upload back. We don't get to see what choice she makes, but given all of her growth over the course of the show, we can only hope that she's decided to live her life in the world of the living while she still can.
Because life isn't perfect, but life is the most magical gift there is.
As much as we might want to hold on forever, death is an important part of our experience of life.
You said that every human is a little bit sad all the time because you know you're going to die. But that knowledge is what gives life meaning.
There's even a long-running theme in literature and media to this end, where immortal beings give up their ability to live forever so that they can fully experience what it means to be human, the mystery of what comes next. And the not knowing when we're going to be making that transition is what adds the spark to our lives.
I won't exactly know what's going to happen after I die. Nothing more human than that. Besides texting people that you're 5 minutes away when you haven't even left the house.
That's The Take. Click here to watch the video we think you'll love, or here to check out a whole playlist of awesome content. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications.